don't know, man. I truly believe the only thing that's really hindering me from saying that he's gone completely, there's a part of me that thinks this is a work. Because if you recall on Monday Night Raw, where Reigns was back and that first night he announced he was in remission, I believe Reigns and Rollins saved Ambrose from a beatdown, and they didn't even go to check on him in the ring. He was there by himself. Now, they got the Shield back together, but it was the final ride for the Shield at Fastlane, right? And then they announced that this was it, and they gave way to Rollins and Heyman on Monday Night Raw. But on that very same show, it was Ambrose who was ultimately taken off television by a brutal beatdown from Drew McIntyre. Now, Rollins came out to help Roman because McIntyre beat up Roman, and then Ambrose wanted a match with McIntyre to back up Roman. But Rollins came out to help Roman, but he didn't come out to help Dean after the beatdown. I found that to be very odd. And there might be something happening there where Ambrose and Reigns might have a final match or send-off, or there might be a situation there between Ambrose and the Shield. You know, I don't know. It just seems very bizarre that Rollins was there for Roman, but, you know, when Ambrose was being beat up by Drew McIntyre, the same guy who beat up Roman, he was nowhere to be found. And they did the same thing a couple of weeks ago where Roman announced he was in remission. That same night, they didn't go to check on Ambrose. They just left him lay. They saved him, but they didn't go to check on him and see how he's feeling. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It could be something, it could be nothing.
No one can.
Or it could be that Ambrose is really getting a final send-off, and what better way to have a final send-off than Roman Reigns? Who is Ambrose going to have a final send-off with? If not one of his best friends. You know? They did it with Shawn Michaels and Diesel. At In Your House, Good Friends, Better Enemies. Diesel's best match. His best WWE match. As long as he was employed in that company, that was his best match. The fucking night where he took Mad Dog Vachon's prosthetic leg off and started using it as a weapon. I remember Shawn Michaels' very exact, you know, body language in that match. Like, he was upset that his best friend was leaving. He took the prosthetic leg, he super kicked Diesel's head off with the prosthetic leg. The leg went flying. He took the leg and said, get the fuck out. Get out of here. You want to go to WCW and leave me? Go. Exactly what he did at the end of the match. I could see a very similar situation here with Reigns and Ambrose, if not at WrestleMania, at the following pay-per-view, whatever it is, whatever the May pay-per-view is. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But Jim Ross thinks that Dean Ambrose is going to be a major player in WWE, and I have an inkling of a feeling that, you know, them not coming out to save Dean is possibly leading to something. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, everybody thought that Evolution was going to lead to Evolution 2 and was going to be a regular thing. That Evolution, the debut of WWE Evolution, the pay-per-view in October, was going to lead to more Evolutions or more all-women's pay-per-views. That's not the case. Stephanie McMahon dodges a question about a second WWE Evolution. Now, it's interesting how a second Evolution event is not on the WWE schedule right now. Things could change because the original Evolution event was initially supposed to be a house show. Now, Stephanie McMahon spoke to the National about a possible second Evolution event, and she seemed to dodge the question and simply said that they have a lot of things in the works right now. We haven't announced any plans for Evolution yet, but we got a lot of things in the works right now. One thing that is important to note with Evolution, that it was our first ever all-women's pay-per-view, and it trended worldwide for 2.5 hours during the last game of the World Series and during NFL Sunday Night Football. Both huge audiences in the United States, but it was WWE Evolution that was trending #1, end quote. A lot of people believe that WWE Evolution was simply an answer to the fans who were upset about the women not being allowed to perform in Saudi Arabia. Therefore, an all-female pay-per-view was arranged. With the rumors of women possibly getting to wrestle in Saudi Arabia this time around, the company might not need another Evolution event this year. Well, that would be another way for WWE to pretty much expose themselves. If the women are allowed to wrestle in Saudi Arabia and we don't get another Evolution pay-per-view, what the fuck does that tell everybody watching the WWE product? That Evolution was just a mere fucking event that was put on to save face for the women. That's all it was. Now, I don't think the women are going to be able to wrestle in Saudi Arabia. I don't think it's going to happen this year or next year. It's going to be one of those things that's going to be a work in progress. I don't think they're going to just allow these women to wrestle in Saudi Arabia. But as far as Evolution, I don't really give a shit if there is an Evolution or if there is not an Evolution. They didn't make history, to me, or in my eyes, for Evolution. It was a pay-per-view that was, very half-assed. It was put together with basically Scotch tape. They didn't really highlight Evolution. They highlighted Saudi Arabia more than they did Evolution. Nothing about Evolution was built up except for Becky and Charlotte Flair in that last women's standing match. And then we all knew, whoever was watching the Mae Young Classic, that the Mae Young Classic finals were going to be taking place at Evolution. And then you had Nikki Bella and Ronda Rousey in the main event. That's not really something that's going to be eye-grabbing for the audience. So if Evolution happens or not, I don't really give a shit. Because WWE didn't do it justice the first time, and knowing that they have these Saudi Arabia events planned at the very same time as they did in 2018, in the very same slots on the 2019 schedule, it's going to be more of the same. It's going to be more of the same. How many shows can you possibly build towards at the same time? How many? The Mae Young Classic is enough. There were rumors that WWE wants to have a women's King of the Ring, the Queen of the Ring. Now that could be something where they don't do an Evolution event and they give us the King of the Ring moniker, but only this time for the women, Queen of the Ring, and that could be the WWE pay-per-view. Maybe she didn't want to let the cat out of the bag yet. And we're not getting an Evolution pay-per-view, but instead that. I don't know. If it happens or not, I don't care. Because I didn't really enjoy the first one outside the Becky-Charlotte match. So I don't really care if it happens or not. The less that's on the pay-per-view calendar, the better. Because right now there's just an oversaturation of these shows that WWE doesn't know. At one point last year, they were building towards 3 shows within the same fucking month. You had what would you have? Evolution, you had Crown Jewel, and then you had Survivor Series. And they got lucky with Survivor Series because it built itself. It was Raw versus SmackDown. They got away. They got off easy. But 3 pay-per-views in the span of a month? It's good for me. It's good for my bank account. It's good for you guys. The more content, the better, right? But as far as WWE programming goes, man, you want to burn out an audience? That's the way you do it. So if Evolution happens, I don't really give a shit if it does or it doesn't. And Stephanie might be, saying what's legit. They might have other plans in the works and Evolution might not be, but something else might be taking the place. We don't know. So it's going to be a wait-and-see game for sure. WWE hoping female superstars, leading into this story, WWE's hoping that the female superstars will wrestle in 2019 in Saudi Arabia. Now, Raja is reporting that the company has hopes to have women compete in Saudi Arabia this year. At this point, there is no all-women's pay-per-view set for 2019. That clearly could change. And there could be a reason for that. And this is that reason. It's being reported that WWE is holding off announcing an all-female pay-per-view event because the company is holding out hope. And they use that in quotes, holding out hope, that the November Saudi Arabia show will feature female-only matches.
One shot.
I don't know about that.
One kill.
They just have to convince the government of Saudi Arabia to allow this to take place. Not only that, but WWE is leaving the possibility open of adding women's only pay-per-views regardless of the situation in Saudi Arabia. 2018 didn't start with Evolution on the calendar either. So like I said, this could be a thing that just materializes later in the year. That historic event, and I use that term loosely, historic event was added around the time the Saudi show happened, I believe, or was first announced, Crown Jewel. So then they announced thereafter, soon after that, that Evolution was taking place. So as soon as Crown Jewel was announced, then the Evolution show was announced. It was about a 2-month time frame. And WWE didn't even start building towards Evolution until about 3 or 4 weeks out, until the pay-per-view was actually about to come on out. So I don't really give a shit if it's added or if it's not. I don't care. But WWE, man, they're wishing upon a fucking star with this one. I do not see Saudi Arabia allowing the women to wrestle in 2019. They got 8 years left under this contracted deal. You know, if they're lucky to get one in the 8 years, they'd be lucky. I don't know. I don't really know. WWE is going to have to do a lot of convincing if they want the women to be in that situation to wrestle in Saudi Arabia. And if they do get it, and we don't get an Evolution, again, like I mentioned, then you will know and look back on as to why Evolution happened in the first place. We'll see what happens, man. I don't know. I just don't think it's going to happen. You're not going to change these people's feelings or mindset overnight, you know? If it was something here in the United States, maybe, but changing those people's minds is going to take a very long time. You're not going to just go into someone else's country and say, this is what we want, this is what I think is best, and have them say, okay, here you go. They're already compensating WWE with $500 million. You know, they're going to be a little bit more tight-lipped and a little bit more, I guess, serious when it comes to that situation. You know, they haven't done the normal everyday thing for the women in their own country yet. They're going to allow women to fucking dress the way that they dress in the WWE and get in a ring and compete in front of their people? I don't think so. I don't really think that's going to happen this year. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some time. And I can't wait for it to happen because, you know, when it happens, WWE is going to just fucking tout about it all over the place, and it's going to be fucking jammed down our throats with a plunger, and it's going to be fucking sickening. It's going to be absolutely sickening. So, look forward to that when that day comes. Moving on here, man. WWE fired Arn Anderson. We all know about them firing Arn Anderson, right? He broke his silence. But before we get into what he stated after his WWE release, there were a couple of superstars in the WWE, and they expressed how they felt about Alicia Fox showing up intoxicated to a WWE live event. Now, Arn Anderson let Alicia Fox wrestle while intoxicated. This was a big no-no for obvious reasons. The fact that she could have hurt herself or hurt someone else in the ring. I mean, it's common fucking logic. Now, Vince McMahon went off on Anderson, and he was fired. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that Triple H had to mediate the two on a few occasions before, but McMahon let Anderson go over this infraction. Now, some WWE superstars didn't realize that Alicia Fox was inebriated during the live show. They have come to expect her antics at this point, so it wasn't anything out of the usual. One version reported that Anderson didn't know about Fox's intoxication either until it was too late. So, the defense of Anderson from talent is that they believe and even insist he didn't know anything regarding Fox was that bad before the match, nor did the talent at the time. The women are used to Fox behaving erratically, which she did then, but has done more as of late. End quote. The fact is that Arn Anderson was producing Alicia Fox's last match in WWE on February 10th in Saginaw, Michigan. So this incident happened at that show or something in that loop of events. The round of shows is also when Alicia Fox had an outrageous wardrobe malfunction as well. She might have been drunk during that as well. Who the fuck knows? There have been no reports of Alicia Fox's firing, but she could very well be on thin ice again. As reported, she was on thin ice several times before in the past. This is a series of unfortunate circumstances, and Alicia Fox rejected WWE's offer for rehab and has since gone AWOL. Now, Arn Anderson breaks his silence after his WWE release. He spoke to Sports Illustrated, and Anderson did not throw anyone under the bus. Instead, he was quite professional in simply relaying how fortunate he was for having the gig for so long in WWE. He says, and I quote, "I was fortunate enough to work with WWE for 18 years. Certainly, that provided my family and myself with a nice living, and I have no regrets. A lot of my best friends still work there. Everything has a shelf life, and I guess mine ran out." So the next time you'll see Arn Anderson is at StarCast for Double or Nothing that weekend. Cody Rhodes had nothing but amazing things to say about Arn Anderson, and we have to wait and see if he still wants to be in the business as a producer of sorts. Maybe he ends up in AEW. I'm sure Cody Rhodes is going to offer him some type of deal, and we may see Arn Anderson join Billy Gunn over in All Elite Wrestling. So Arn Anderson, though, at the end of the day, isn't holding any public resentment towards this situation. So I have to side with Vince McMahon on this one, man. You know, whether Arn didn't know it or he did know it, it happened. And apparently, there were also reports that Arn Anderson and Vince McMahon didn't get along. So whether he knew or didn't know, Vince seen this as one of those infractions, and that was enough to let him go. And this is not the first time an agent or a producer was let go over something stupid. Fit Finlay was fired several years ago for something that happened, an incident that happened at a house show with the national anthem. Had a heel come out and interrupt the national anthem with servicemen sitting in the crowd. They felt disrespected, so Vince McMahon did the hasty thing and fired Fit Finlay over it. And Fit Finlay was ended up being brought back. He was brought back to the company. So I don't know if that could happen to Arn Anderson, but, you know, it's not like Arn Anderson has nowhere to go. And WWE made mention of this. They hired so many fucking producers, from Jeff Jarrett to Shane Helms, Abyss, Sanjay Dutt, Sean Daivari. You know, just based off that, mixed with Vince McMahon not really, you know, feeling Arn Anderson too much, and Arn Anderson possibly being on his shit list, Vince probably thought that he was expendable. Whatever the case happened, it happened on his watch, and he had to reprimand somebody. Arn Anderson was let go. It is what it is. Just like Jim Ross, Arn Anderson is not going to be out of work for too long if he wants a position with AEW. So, he was very professional about it. 18 years he was there, and that's the way to handle it, man. No hard feelings from Arn Anderson, and he broke his silence to Sports Illustrated. Couple more stories here, man. Some SmackDown stories to end this weekend's podcast. We have Fandango coming back. There was a very nice video package of Fandango at the PC. WWE's Performance Center has its own YouTube channel. I highly recommend you guys go and watch the videos that they put up there, man. Very, very well done. And Fandango was actually a part of their most recent videos. And it documented him coming back and him going through training again, what he's been doing to rehabilitate. And one thing stood out when he was talking in this particular video package. He said he wants to come back and he wants to be more of a serious character. Like, he did what he was asked to do, and he enjoyed, you know, being Fandango, and he enjoyed the Fashion Files, but he wants to come back and have a more serious role on WWE television. Now, the only question is WWE going to embrace Fandango as a serious character on WWE television? I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to get lost in the shuffle, and he's going to be, you know, on the lower bottom of the ladder, and I don't think they're going to end up doing anything with him. And it's a shame, because he's a pretty damn good fucking wrestler. I think that is talent being misused. And I could see him being a very decent mid-card guy. But I've seen a lot of talent in WWE have that decent mid-card act role. I could see Fandango being a U.S. title or an Intercontinental title type guy. I seen the same thing in Ty Dillinger. What happened? They didn't use him at all either. You know? But there was a big clue that WWE has canceled the Fashion Files. So this could be a good thing for Mr. Johnny Curtis, Fandango, or it could end up being a nail in the coffin. Fandango was taken out of action with an injury, and although he might be gearing up for a return soon, that doesn't mean his tag team will be reforming. Now, he expressed interest in displaying a more serious character during a WWE Performance Center documentary about his return to the ring. Now, Tyler Breeze is giving fans a strong clue that his detective days with Breezango could be over. Why did the Fashion Files end?